Hi, you've clicked onto today's tropical tidbit for Thursday. It's still fairly quiet in the Atlantic, not a whole lot going on out here. We have a tropical wave coming in from the east over the central Atlantic. May have to be watched just carefully as it moves westward here. Fairly well defined signature. There is some dry air off to its northwest, and the models don't support any significant action from this, but it is well defined, and all of these waves will start to be watched as they come west, as they start to look better and better with time in the central and eastern Atlantic. Here in the Caribbean, we have this feature of thunderstorms and showers in the southwest Caribbean. Not a whole lot of it, but the models are hinting that we may get an area of low pressure try to develop with this, and some runs of the GFS have been trying to develop it into a tropical storm off the coast of Nicaragua before it quickly moves across Central America and perhaps it develops into a new storm or stays developed into the same storm in the eastern Pacific. However, I doubt that this will actually be able to develop significantly on our side of the basin. Within a couple of days, it's going to very quickly be whisked off over here, and it is going to be entraining some monsoonal vorticity into it, but I doubt that it'll actually be able to strengthen a whole lot. The latest runs of the GFS have actually taken it fairly far inland before the low pressure has a chance to really get going and then bring it out into the eastern Pacific. It's going to be a close call, and we may or may not try to get a tropical depression out of this area before it moves across, but it is going to be close. And as I've been mentioning, the Eastern Pacific is favored here over the Caribbean for this development, and whatever tries to get going here will be quickly moving across. We will see how things look as the situation develops over the next couple of days as we head on towards the weekend, but for now it's not going to be a significant event for the Atlantic side, but Central America will be dealing with lots of rainfall from this regardless as it moves across the area. Over the next couple of weeks, the models aren't showing anything significant in terms of development, but that could change in a hurry. We're going to have the African wave train heating up during this last part of the month here. The MJO is currently moving into octant 1 and strengthening, going to be keeping net upward motion over this area of the world, although there is some dry air and sinking right now in the eastern Atlantic, and we will be watching this wave train to start getting going as waves start coming across here. And as we get towards August, things are going to start heating up, and a lot of these years can be pretty quiet through June and July, but once we get into the meat of the season, things will heat up in a hurry, and so we will enjoy the quiet while it lasts, as it will not last that much longer. If we look over here to the Pacific, this is Typhoon Mayon moving along to the west here, slightly north of west, and it hasn't really strengthened all that much since yesterday. This core here has had a really hard time getting going, and thus the eye wall as well. You can see the eye here has been having a lot of trouble clearing out, and the bands of red here that you see are minus 70 Celsius or colder cloud tops, and that is having a hard time connecting around the core, and it's a broken band. It's not solid, and there's dry air getting mixed in with the circulation, which is causing these issues. If we look over here at the water vapor, I mentioned yesterday about this upper ridge to the north of the storm, and on the southeast flank of this ridge is upper confluence, convergence of air, which is causing it to sink, and as it sinks, it's very dry because the air in the upper atmosphere doesn't have a lot of water vapor in it, and it's very dry, and when it sinks down, it's not gaining any moisture, and to boot, it's also warming because it's compressing due to the higher air pressure, and that further makes it drier because the relative moisture content compared to what the air can hold is lower. So this very dry air is sinking near the vicinity of the northern part of the storm, and what this is doing is it's drying out the inflow into the storm from the north, and this is getting injected right into the core of the storm, and different microwave images of total precipitable water will show this well, and this core is going to have a hard time getting going as long as this dry air is sitting right here to the north. As soon as this gets around the southwest periphery of this ridge, though, the ridge is outlined right here, the environment will become more divergent aloft in this area, and we may see this be able to get fairly strong south of Japan here before it moves up to the northwest. But for now, it's being kept down, as I mentioned, by this dry air to the north and subsidence, cutting off the outflow and drying out the core, which will keep it from exploding in the near term. You can see on this microwave pass recently, as a couple of hours ago, here's the what there is of the eye wall is fairly small. There's only half of it here. The other half is non-existent here. We've got dry air infiltrating the core into the north, and these bands on the eastern side are not very well defined. What there is of the core is to the west, and very not connected with the rest of the storm here. We'll need to get that going before it can actually blow up and have any chance of becoming a super typhoon or even a Cat 4. Right now it's still a Cat 2, hasn't really strengthened a whole lot since yesterday. Now the problem with this is going to be for Japan. The models are in agreement on a general landfall in southern Japan, and the reason that makes a lot of sense right now, unfortunately, is because the pattern isn't going to be changing a whole lot. This is the GFS ensemble mean for the hemisphere at 500 millibar heights and anomalies, day 2, 48 hours. Here's Mayon way up here. I know the orientation's a little weird. This is north right here where this arrow is pointing, and this is Japan right here. Here's the storm, and if we're going to hop up all the way to day 5 here. So here's the storm moving not that fast here, 3 days, and it moves to south of Japan. And the reason this is going to probably strike southern Japan here is because this pattern is fairly locked down. Notice the blocking to the north of Japan, trough, and then ridge south of Alaska, trough over western North America, and then the central U.S. ridge, which is keeping Texas in drought. And we look over here, here's day 2, here's these features, the ridge, trough, ridge, trough, ridge, and we go to day 5 and they're still sitting there. This pattern downstream is very stuck, very locked down here. This pattern is not moving a whole lot. So if this is not moving a whole lot, this pattern over Asia is pretty locked down as well, and thus the steering that is currently in place, if we look over here at the water vapor, here's the trough, here's the edge of the ridge right in here. This is exactly where the storm is going to try to curve up, is right here along the edge of this ridge, and if that's not going to move very much over the next few days, then that's the path that this is likely going to take, and thus this pattern here is directing this storm right towards Japan, unfortunately. And there's still a chance that it could try to avoid the island, but it may not, and the models are still forecasting this to be a landfalling storm in southern Japan. The European has been very consistent with this, and once it locks on to storms, it's generally on a fairly good track. And if we look over here at the European, here is the track showing it coming across southern Japan and exiting just south of Tokyo. Maximum wind swath here, these gray colors are anywhere from 100 to 110 knots. This takes it up to an upper Cat 3, perhaps lower end Cat 4 at maximum here, weakening slightly upon landfall and then weakening quickly over the island, but following the length of it up until Tokyo and then moving out over the Pacific. This would be a bad situation. It's a major typhoon making landfall in Japan. They've had a lot going on, so it's certainly not something we would like to see. So we will be hoping and praying for them that this won't be too bad of a storm, but it looks like it may strike them directly in a few days here. This is the forecast track from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center showing the same general thing here, moving towards southern Japan, would likely hook this way fairly quickly towards the northeast after it moves over there. And again, not going to be moving very fast over the island, excuse me, because of this trough over here. There's blocking to the north. This trough is not a full-scale long-wave trough, as I mentioned yesterday, which means it's not going to be able to take Mayon off to the northeast very quickly, and thus it will be moving fairly slowly across this region, which would not be great news because it would mean very heavy rainfall and prolonged exposure to winds, which would not be great news for the folks over there. So we will hope that this is not as bad of a storm as it looks like it will be, but it will be strengthening as it moves towards southern Japan, perhaps weakening slightly right before landfall, but still a major storm, and we'll just continue to hope that it won't be that bad of a scenario. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.